Hi, I'm AmySara Richardson, and I'm a volunteer with Bows and Bullets 4-H Club of Washington, Iowa.
Hi, I'm Caroline Richardson, a member of the Bows and Bullets 4-H Club of Washington, Iowa, and we are here to talk to you about rabbit breeding.
Caroline, how long have you been a member of the Bows and Bullets Club of Washington?
3 years.
3 years? And how long have you been in the rabbit program?
3 years.
Awesome. Well, we are fortunate to be surrounded by a group of individuals in the 4-H rabbit program of Washington County. We are thankful for all those leaders, volunteers, mentors.
So, Mom, what do we need to think about before we start to breed?
Oh my. Well, we need to make sure that the buck and the doe are the right size. We need to make sure that you don't have a large doe and a large buck, because then you'll have large babies, and that can cause a problem for the doe as she breeds. Caroline, how do we go about breeding?
We put the doe in a buck pen, because when you put the buck in the doe pen, the buck will most likely, he'll probably pee everywhere and sniff everything, and most likely attack the doe. Doe in the buck pen makes it safer for the rabbits themselves.
Yes, yes.
And what does it look like?
They might chase each other around. You might hear some grunting. Definitely you'll see them checking each other out. Sometimes tushies go on faces, but eventually the buck will get on top of the doe, and then there might be neck hair pulling. Their eggs are released during the act of breeding. The buck will pull on the neck hair of the doe. It can look scary, but it's really not. They don't pull too hard. Okay.
How do we know when there's a successful breed?
The buck grunts and falls off. Mom and Dad check the doe for a wet vent. We watch when the breeding is happening, because if the buck doesn't fall off, he did not get the job done. So we want to make sure that happens. If it doesn't happen, we'll try again later. A couple of hours usually. If we try in the morning, then we'll try later on in the afternoon, and if that doesn't work, we'll try again tomorrow. Caroline, what do we do after we're done breeding?
Usually Dad or Mom will put the doe back in her pen and leave her alone. You want to make sure it's quiet in there so that there's no disturbances with her. And we want to record down what happened, if the doe is pregnant, if we need to try again later. And we also, around 24 hours later, we will put them back in the same cage. And if the pregnant doe does not want to have anything to do with him, that proves she's pregnant, or pseudo-pregnancy will happen. Or if she doesn't, or if she wants something to happen, she'll let him, breed. Yeah.
This is our proven buck, Miles, who so far has made all the Netherland Dwarf babies in this shed. Usually we rebreed, is what we call rebreeding, but it's essentially just ensuring that the breed occurred. We do that between 8 to 24 hours. This is Buddy, and Buddy will be 2 December 2nd of this year. So he's a definite senior buck. He won last year Best of Breed at the Washington County Fair.
Best of Opposites.
He also won at a Makokata Arba sanctioned show.
Best of Opposite Sex.
So, Mom, is there a certain time that the rabbits like to breed?
Oh boy. Well, one would think that rabbits would like to breed anytime. However, rabbits do not like to breed on short days, so like the days of winter when the sun isn't out as much, and they don't tend to breed well when it's extremely cold or extremely hot. We noted this last January. Our rabbits bred during a full moon, and none of them got pregnant, and 3 of them had pseudo-pregnancies. Our rabbits do not like to breed under a full moon.
So, how do we know when the doe's pregnant?
When the doe's pregnant, well, You just did that this like 2 days ago, right? With one of your dough.
You want to palpitate the dough, which is feeling her stomach area underneath her lungs, underneath her rib cage, because that is usually where eggs will, form into babies. And we want to make sure that you feel something, marbles or beans, whatever you feel. That's most likely a baby or her ovaries. We also watch how they act. Sometimes they grunt at you, they charge you when you bring them food, and they will most likely get fat. We always assume that they're pregnant and we wait 30 days.
Yeah. Okay, how long is a rabbit pregnant? Like a rabbit gestation, how long?
Most of the time it's around 31 days, but depending on the breed, it could take longer, could take shorter time. And the size of the rabbit's litter is how long it will take, because if you have a large...
What do we feed pregnant doe?
We feed them a full scoop of food, as much alfalfa hay as they want, and always give them enough water.
All right, so let's talk about nesting. We put our rabbits in a nesting box. You can buy the nesting box of metal. You can make them of wood, which we do.
Never.
We line each box with a 1/2 inch of pine shavings, and we put straw on top of that.
Some of our mothers are picky. Our proven doe will not do with straw. She does not like to have her babies born in straw.
Okay, and so then about 28 days after breeding, a doe will start to pull fur. Now, we put the nesting box in right around that same time. Do they pull a lot of fur?
No, they don't pull a lot in the beginning. In the beginning, it would just be a little fluff. And then towards the end of her pregnancy, she'll pull more and more. And that's when the most fur is pulled and she's starting to go bald in the chest. That is when you know she is going to give birth that day or the day after. And Mom, how do we know when she's going to give birth?
Well, you just said that fur comes a ton of fur, a lot of fur everywhere in the shed.
One of our rabbits does go bald, but don't worry, the hair will grow back. And what if she doesn't pull fur?
Wait a minute, where does she pull the fur from?
Her chest area, right here.
Oh yeah. So if she doesn't pull the fur, then we wait until she does. But if the kids are born and she hasn't pulled fur, if it's extremely cold, we can bring the nesting box inside. We could cover it with a heat lamp. If you have a breeding program, you try to save back fur from previous kindlings, which kindling is when the rabbit gives birth. So if you pull that fur back and reserve it, then you have fur for the next time. Just to show you a little bit, this is our nesting box. You can see really close up, there's rabbit fur in there. And the box is currently not in use. This is our reserve fur that we keep just in case.
What does it look like?
I don't know. I've never seen a kindling. It's very rare to see a kindling. How do you know that the kids are born if you can't see them, Caroline?
You want to sanitize your hands and check daily after you see placentas or babies on her wire of the cage, lining the cage. And if they're on the wire, you want to put them in the nesting box under the fur, dig a little, burrow for them.
Mm-hmm.
And you also want to keep them warm. Make sure they have pot bellies. That means they have big bellies and they're warm, because that means the mother is feeding all of them. You want to make sure all of them are fed, and yeah.
So when the kids are born, not only are you looking for warm bodies and full bellies, but you're also looking for disease, you're looking for dead rabbits, you're looking for peanuts. And what a peanut is when you have a dwarf rabbits should have one dwarf gene, and some rabbits have two, and they're called peanuts. And those rabbits will never grow because the dwarf gene prevents that normal growth cycle. When you have two growth genes, you will not grow. And so you'll notice the first day that rabbit is super tiny, you can cull it then.
After they're born, 2 days after they're born.
About 2 days.
They'll start growing.
What happens in 10 days? Because I know you've got
They
that
get
on your
their
mind.
eyes open.
Their eyes open. Essentially, we let mom feed the kits. We check on them twice a day.
About 6 weeks or 6 to 8 weeks,
Mhm.
we will wean them, take them out of their cage, and put them in their own pen.
What do we feed our rabbits that are weaned?
We feed them pellets,
And
alfalfa hay,
and
water.
perfect. We want to encourage you to ask questions of all of the people on the panel for the rabbit workshop. Everyone here has been a help to us. We would not have a successful breeding program without the 4-H rabbit program from Washington County. We would not have it without any of our volunteers, leaders, and mentors. We would not have a successful rabbitry, without the hard work of our 4-H children. So we encourage you to enjoy rabbit breeding, and we look forward to seeing you at Washington County Fair. What do you have, Caroline?
I have nothing. Okay, begin.
Hi, I'm AmySara Richardson, volunteer with Bows and Bullets 4-H Club. My daughter Caroline has been involved in the Washington County 4-H rabbit program for 3 years. And as a parent, I just want to say thanks to all the volunteers, leaders, the rabbit board, and everybody who helps in the rabbit barn for all the wonderful advice you've given us, for the questions that you've answered, both during 4-H time and out in public and on your cell phones when I text message you and email you. Any success that we have in 4-H would never be possible without our volunteers who willingly give of themselves. So for all of you today who are watching this workshop, I just want to encourage you that if you join the rabbit program, if you decide to take on a rabbit project, even for a year, you will have the most amazing community around you. And I just want to encourage you to do that and reach out to any one of us if you have questions. We all want to make the best better.